Ah, ahoy! I've been putting this off for long enough, so without delaying it any further, let's just jump right in.
Elden Ring released on February 22nd, 2022. Hey, that's fun. All twos. When it came out, I had a lot of interest in playing it. I got it a few months after its release, but I wasn't allowed to play it because friends told me I had to play the rest of the Souls games first. Ah yes, Elden Ring is also the latest installment in a series which consists of the Dark Souls trilogy, and then a bunch of games that are the same franchise / not the same franchise like Bloodborne, Demon Souls, Sekiro, and Elden Ring, all seemingly operating under the umbrella term Souls. And I do have most of these spread throughout my shelves, but never really got around to playing them. It's a series of difficult dark fantasy role-playing games, and those are three terms that aren't the most appetizing to me. I don't like hard games, I don't care for RPGs, and the fantasy genre never really tickled my fancy. But with that said, I've been softly playing Dark Souls for the last year and a half, and I really liked it. Now, a big reason for that is because while I did most of the playing, a friend of mine would handle all the RPG aspects of it, so I didn't have to think about it.
But still, it has taken me a very long time to finish the first Dark Souls, and I only play it with him. But at this pace, and having to play the other Souls games first, would mean I'm only gonna get to Elden Ring in, say, 36 years. But damn it, I don't wanna wait anymore, especially after all the hype with the DLC that came out recently. And plus, either way, it's the same franchise / not the same franchise, so I don't necessarily feel I'll be missing anything important by not playing the previous games. And that's good enough for me. Elden Ring was a critical success and was even Game of the Year for 2022, so I'm very excited. This is my first time playing a Souls game all by myself. Let's hope I like it.
Elden Ring starts with us needing to customize our character, and I decided to start a new tradition here with Soblev Productions, and that is naming my characters after the bears in Naughty Bear. So let's do Daddles. Our class? Well, in Dark Souls I was a thief because I enjoyed having the key that opens most doors, but I'm aware that what works in one game isn't gonna work in another. I can blast kids in Splatoon, but not in Call of Duty, but I'll still give Thief a go again. Guy or girl? Let's switch things up, I'm a girl. With actual customizing, I'm adopting the Stormdane Productions patented all sliders to the right, and the result was Daddles being a love child of Momo and Jeff. The story of Elden Ring is pretty simple. There's an Elden Ring we have to find so that we can become the Elden Lord. Now I saw that George R.R. Martin was involved in the world building for Elden Ring, which at first my thought was,
Season 8's gonna suck.
but actually the story is really subtle in Elden Ring. It's not in your face. The game could have very well just started with a black screen saying go be the Elden Lord and it wouldn't really change much. And if it sounds like a complaint, it's not. If anything, I like how the story actually gets out of the way. When it comes to the dark fantasy genre, it all sounds the same to me.
Aye, hello stranger, I am Tadias the Boarhead. I was once the finest merchant in Gimba. That was until the Great Evoke. I now travel these lands selling magical herbs. Care to take one? Aye, wise decision. But before you depart, let me tell ye a tale.
Listen, I like the dark fantasy environment, but I don't care for the long dialogue and lore. It just sounds the same to me. So I love Elden Ring for not having it be so in your face. It's just a pet peeve that I have that every time I talk to an NPC, they feel the need to tell me their whole life story. By the time I finally know what side quests they want me to do, I'll also know their social security. I just want to get to the point. Do you remember the hand in the toilet from Majora's Mask? We don't know what he is, we don't know who he is or why he's in the toilet, he just tells us he needs papers, so we give it to him and get our reward. Straight to the point! Why can't fantasy games just do that? So you start Elden Ring with Daddles waking up in her church before she gets pimp slapped by a boss and awakens in the lands between. This is our open world, where our first impression is another boss that pimp slaps us. Off to a great start. Anyway, I walk around that mess and start collecting resources and fighting enemies until I reach Margit the Fell, who is the game's first main boss, and I spent my whole goddamn Saturday, getting my ass handed to me. And right here would be where I'd go off on a rant talking about the difficulty of the game, but I told myself I wouldn't do this so early into the video. So when the crushing reality hit that I can't beat Margit the Fell, I decided to go and venture off into the open world of Elden Ring, which is what it is, by the way. Where the Souls series beforehand were set in a large, continuous, interconnected environment, Elden Ring is now an open world because God forbid any video game franchise doesn't become one. But here's the thing, I actually really enjoyed roaming around Elden Ring's big open world. It's just a lot of fun to explore, find big scary enemies, discover little caverns that house mini dungeons with a fun little boss fight. What really helped is how easy Elden Ring makes it to navigate the lands between. For one, you can always fast travel at any point, and the game throws a generous amount of campsites, which makes things easier. Plus, really early into the game, we can get a spiritual steed that we can summon at any time, which also made traversing a breeze, and was also a great getaway in case a combat encounter wasn't going our way. The ease of transportation, along with the survival horror aspect that something large and horrifying could jump out at you at any moment, made this probably my favorite open world game ever. A highlight for me was always finding the unique and grotesque enemies that From Software cooked up for us. Even if it's as simple as a giant f***ing crab, the game could take a loaf of bread and make it terrifying. Now, as much as I enjoy the open world of Elden Ring, staying on path is where the game gets a bit annoying. Elden Ring is absolutely terrible at telling you what you need to do. The most direction you'll get is these strays of light that point you in the way you're supposed to go. And while it works sometimes, it doesn't other times, and when it doesn't work, I don't know what I'm supposed to be doing. It's just throwing me in a general direction, but I don't know how far I'm supposed to go or what I'm even looking for. Elden Ring is so obscure, even Xbox achievements don't want to tell you anything. Or say you pick up a side quest, the game doesn't track it for you, you just gotta remember off the top of your head what the NPC asked you to do. Damn it, I can barely remember if my girlfriend asked me to vacuum or take care of the dishes earlier today, and I have to remember what these random ass characters say? In other games, I can talk to an NPC, get the side quest, and continue on my merry way, only doing it when I want to, and I can just read what it was they wanted. Here in Elden Ring, I find an NPC, I chat, and hear their endless dialogue, which at some point included a side quest, but the game doesn't track what side quests you have, so if you want to suddenly start knocking those out, you have to first return to where the NPC is, hear the dialogue again, and then proceed to do it and hope you don't get distracted by something else, because you'll have to start over. Like, the game has so many tabs in the menu, and having one tab for objectives seems like a lot to ask for?
It was both, by the way.
You wanna know another basic ass function Elden Ring and well, other Souls games lack? A pause functionality. Now, I get what they were going for. Before entering a fight, prepare what equipment you want, make sure you're not too heavy or slow, and have whatever magical doohickeys you need because you can't change them mid-combat. I understand that, but on the other hand, I have to pee! Now, something I loved in Elden Ring, and is probably a rare instance of me enjoying online multiplayer, is that if you connect your console to the internet, then you will have these little messages lying around from other players, and these are just the best. Where Elden Ring as a game itself lacked giving me any direction, the online community made up for it. These gave you heads up for an ambush or to check something out in a particular direction, suggestions with how to handle enemies, letting you know there's an item ahead, or my favorite, letting me know that there is nothing ahead so I don't waste my time. I honestly don't know how I would have progressed through the game without these hints. Elden Ring has a bigger emphasis on vertical level design, as that is capable of scaling high places or being able to survive long drops. And I wouldn't know to do these if it wasn't for the messages telling me to take these leaps of faith. So I'm sure without these hints I would have complained how the game gives you absolutely no indication of where you're allowed to go, but the online community saved it. Elden Ring, you get a pass on this. I guess I should talk about the RPG aspects of the game. So it's no secret I hate RPGs. Now the question can be asked, why? Well, because there's so much stuff and so much reading and I don't particularly care to do it. I'm told with RPGs there are multiple ways to tackle your approach, but apparently every way I ever do it is always the wrong way. See, I try to do everything right. I level up stats that I feel are important to my playstyle. I level up my weapons. I use any magical attacks I have. But then I'm told I'm doing everything wrong. See, anytime I find myself seeking guidance online or from friends, I find myself getting asked questions I don't know the answer to. So my common denominator with RPGs are the fact that I don't know or the fact that I'm doing things wrong. Which I get enough in my life, and I don't need video games to contribute. If there's one thing I'm especially tired of with RPGs, it's finding out that items or resources are useless or unnecessary, which RPGs love jam-packing their games with. You know what doesn't waste my time? Ocarina of Time. You had 3 outfits, one base, one that lets you travel in hot places without taking damage, and one that lets you breathe underwater. That's it! No outfit that reduces your electrical damage by 20% or increases your magic utilization by 8. Nothing excessive. Elden Ring is another example of RPGs that do the RPG things I hate.
Whew, nothing like a daily dose of complaining about RPGs.
So I guess it's time to talk about the difficulty of Elden Ring, and oh Christ! See, I remember a time where if games were too difficult, people hated it. But nowadays, everyone is a masochist who likes their genitals stepped on by gothic mommies and want games that give you a horrible time. I've heard multiple people praise the Souls games for their unforgiving nature and favor the ones that give them the worst time.
Dude, you gotta play Bloodborne. It is so relentlessly hard, it's torturing you. It makes you hate your life so much that you want to shoot your fucking dog because you don't want anything to make you happy anymore. This is supposed to be entertainment!
I just don't understand the Souls games lacking such basic functions, from objective tracking to a pause button and now a difficulty selection. Now I get it, the Souls franchise is famous for the grueling difficulty. It's their shtick, but I can't support that. You know what's great about selecting a difficulty? It gives accessibility. I'm not a hardcore gamer, but I want to be able to enjoy a game's story, environment, gameplay, and I can without having to dedicate too much time to it. And if you want a challenge and an intense version, you can have it. But having Elden Ring and the rest of the Souls series difficult being hard by default is a bit alienating. Like, I want to explore this dark world and see what vile creatures inhabit them, but how am I supposed to do it when even common enemies can easily gang up on you and kill you? One hit and I'm so staggered I can't even defend myself from the next hit that will not only kill me, but will also cause the Xbox to spit out the disc, have it package itself up, and walk out the house because I'm not worthy to play it. Like, excuse me for not wanting to be miserable. When I spent my whole Saturday, my whole goddamn Saturday, having Margaret the Fell telling me to put my foolish ambitions to rest, I just wanted to say, fine! I was ready to relinquish any and all interest in Elden Ring, and upon hearing that this game was actually the easiest of the Souls series, I was ready to relinquish any interest in those too!
Well, thankfully I didn't. As I mentioned earlier, I would eventually leave Market the Fell to go out and explore the open world, with an intent to start grinding so I can level myself up so I can start breezing through the game.
So I found this one area that had a couple of giant crabs, and while they look scary, they are actually very easy enemies to take down and grant 300 plus runes each when you kill them. Hell, if you position yourself right, they'll kill each other. By the way, runes are the game's currency that you get by killing enemies or bosses, and you can use them to buy stuff or level up. Which I do enjoy about the series, the big picture mindset when it comes to the currency. Should I spend it on stuff or save it so I can level up? But anyway, I saw opportunity to farm runes and I took it. I spent my whole Sunday, my whole goddamn Sunday, killing crabs until I reached 100,000 runes and leveled myself up, jumping from level 19 to 40. I killed so many crabs and harvested so many crab legs, I said screw being an Elden Lord, I'll just open up a crab shack and make bank. But anyway, dedicating my day to grinding made me powerful enough to not only start shredding through a bunch of common enemies and mini bosses, but I was also able to finally beat Market the Fell.
Haha! Put your foolish ambitions to rest, you son of a...
By defeating Margit, you gain access to the first legacy dungeon of Elden Ring, Stormvile Castle, and where I felt powerful after beating Margit the Fell, the inside of Stormvile Castle humbled me with extremely tough enemies and another boss that continues to tear me to shreds.
And I guess that continues my issues with Elden Ring. I spent a whole day, a whole goddamn day, grinding just so that I could beat the first boss, and now that I'm up to the second one, I am once again getting pimp slapped.
But let's not get too ahead of ourselves, let's talk the dungeons. The game has these gigantic structures that we have to explore, fight our way through enemies, and reach the farting doorway that leads to a nasty boss fight. Honestly, it's a big highlight for me. The Zelda fan in me is jovial over being inside large complex structures. The castle is just filled with so many branching paths and secrets to discover. However, it is still Elden Ring and the game will give you absolutely no indication as to what you're doing. But here's the thing. I talked about how euphoric beating a classic Zelda dungeon used to be, and those lasted somewhere between 45 minutes to an hour. Elden Ring had me running around this castle a whole Monday, a whole goddamn Monday, and when I finally beat the big nasty boss, seeing all the rewards popping on screen was an awesome feeling. So maybe all the brutalizing and dirty punishment was worth it because the release afterward was satisfying.
Oh god, I'm a masochist!
So overall, I think Elden Ring is awesome. The open world is fun to explore, the enemy designs are creative and terrifying, the sound design is epic, the combat can be smooth and fun at times, and the visuals just look beautiful. Elden Ring is probably my favorite open world game I've ever played. Hell, I'd almost put it in my top 15 all time. But I'm not going to. I just wish Elden Ring was more user-friendly. The lack of tracking quests is a major flaw, because say you don't play for a while, you try to jump back in but have no idea what you were doing the last time you played it, and the game doesn't give you any directions, you feel lost. And I know complaining about the difficulty in a Souls game is just inviting ridicule, but I stand by it because I believe games should be accessible to everyone, and not everyone is going to learn to parry. And as much as I'll admit that yes, it is insanely gratifying beating a big bad boss and making progress, but I do hate how much time it takes me to do any of it. I'm 50 hours into Elden Ring, and I feel like I'm only 10% of the way through it. Honestly, even that number might be me overestimating myself. Like, damn! Elden Ring is a huge game, and you can very well spend months playing it. But I don't want to. Excuse me, but I'd like to go outside now and then. And I can't just spend a whole goddamn day, just making an ounce of progress because the game insists on being ambiguous and hard as hell. I just want to be able to have the option to have a more casual experience so I can see more of it in a shorter amount of time. And if that logic isn't getting through you, then how about this? When I come home from work after having my ass reamed for hours by my boss, the last thing I want to do is get my ass reamed by another boss. So, in conclusion, well, everything I just said. Elden Ring is really good. It was Game of the Year for 2022, and I'll say it deserves that title. Hell, as I look back retrospectively, 2022 was a really good year for games. We had Elden Ring, God of War Ragnarok, Horizon Forbidden West, Saints Row, Pokemon Legends Arceus, Kirby and the Forgotten Land, Cult of the Lamb, Stray, Plague Tale Requiem, and my personal favorite, The Quarry. Damn, what a good year for games, and I've only played 3 of these. What was I doing in 2022? Alright, playing a bunch of stupid-ass sports games.
You know, another pet peeve I have is when people publish videos online reviewing games without even completing them first. Well, that's what I'm doing. Listen, Elden Ring is huge and my output is bad enough. So this video is just about my thoughts on the game based on what I've done so far. But rest assured, I will keep playing it, and when I do finally complete it, I will make a part 2 to see if my opinions changed at all, and I'll also be able to finally tackle the DLC. Whoa, what's this I'm hearing about you not finishing Elden Ring? Yeah, I'm feeling a little fatigued from the endless directionless wandering around and getting killed so many times. I need a little break. Ah, I get it. Get what? It's fine, you don't gotta say anything. What are you getting at? You don't have to say anything. I understand that you need games that hold your hand. Something like Elden Ring is too demanding for you. Whoa. How about the game not just be hard for the sake of being hard? How about the game not be so obscure about what you're supposed to do? Soblev, you don't have to explain yourself. I understand that you're totally afraid to lock in, afraid to commit. Hey, I'm not afraid to. It's fine that you don't have the grit or the resilience to beat this game. It's for people who have strive, who have power, people who are hungry and devour. All you do is nibble. You're wearing a shirt that says, I'm just built different. Well, clearly you're not. You're built for Mario Party, so just play that. Personally, this couldn't be me having such catastrophic levels of skill issue. I just don't get how you can own so many games and be bad at them. The game gets hard. So does life. Do you plan on quitting that too?